Yo, what is going on, guys? We're on a fantastic day today. So, a release from the Philadelphia Eagles, and a lot of other things going on. Waiting for the schedule release, waiting for, obviously, training camp, which we have a little bit of time to go on that, but it will get here sooner than later. Behind the scenes of what Howie Roseman is doing, this roster that he's put together for this year and years to come is absolutely amazing. Definitely a few things. We got some DeAndre Swift news. We have a bunch of stuff to definitely talk about today. Go into depth with all of that. Nothing crazy, but let's get straight into it.
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what is going on, guys? It's on a fantastic day. So I want to go over some news for the Philadelphia Eagles. The DeAndre Swift stuff is a lot of it was rumor. Well, obviously he's on the roster. We're talking about the extension. We're talking about the rumored extension. What's going on? We've heard a lot of rumors the past, few weeks ago. We were hearing that, a couple weeks ago that, there is some rumors that, the Eagles are, not against giving DeAndre Swift a extension. Because to be honest with you guys, I guess by the time of the draft, what was really going on, I felt like the Eagles would have picked Bijan Robinson if Carter was available, or if Carter was available at 10. Or not even just that, but I feel like Bijan would have been drafted if Carter was gone. And I feel like it was a very realistic possibility. I'm not just saying that. I feel like it was very realistic that it was going to happen. But I'm happy with what we did in the first round. Obviously, Jalen Carter was second on my board in front of Bijan. So we got the second best player in this draft, really, first at his position. So I can't really complain about it too much. But DeAndre Swift is interesting now because at this point, guys, the Eagles don't want to pay long-term for running backs, and that's just the truth. I would have drafted a running back in the first round and maybe give him a fifth-year option, and then you could franchise tag him or whatever you want to do, because most teams now want to franchise tag or pick up their option. I mean, you'd rather pick up an option. You'd rather franchise tag a running back than pay him a long-term deal. And the Eagles don't really want to pay a running back 12 to 16 or 16 or higher. It's just not going to happen, or $6 million a year for Miles Sanders. I mean, they wouldn't even pay that. They wouldn't even pay Miles Sanders at $6 million a year, and that was well over affordable that they could have got it done. Trust me, they could have got it done, and they didn't. Okay, number one, Miles Sanders was not Nick Sirianni's running back, okay? That's just the truth. He's from the Doug Peterson era. That is just the absolute truth to that, okay? He wants those more elusive backs, maybe a little bit more in size, who knows? But obviously when the Eagles found out that DeAndre Swift was going to be available, I think this happened between, obviously, a lot of talks were going on the first day of the draft. And, because of Montgomery going to the Lions and then obviously getting Jahmyr Gibbs, two running backs taken in the top 13, which is crazy, which probably a lot of people didn't expect the Gibbs go that early. And DeAndre Swift thought of himself as the focal point. He thought of himself as a focal point of an offense. It just after that move and was really blinded. And I mean, the Lions didn't even tell him what was going to happen in this draft. Didn't even tell him. I mean, he had to find out firsthand and how they celebrated. So obviously a big, chip on his shoulder coming home to the Philadelphia Eagles. And like I said, there were rumors about a possible, the Eagles saying, we don't mind. We're not straying away from giving DeAndre Swift a contract. You're not picking up a 30-year-old running back, okay? You're picking up a guy that's 24 years old. I mean, you can't beat that. You know what I mean? So are the Eagles going to wait till after the season's over or by the end of the season when they feel more comfortable on giving him an extension? Now, this way, or maybe they get it done early so the statistics won't pile up as he plays throughout the year and plays so good to where he's going to ask for a lot more money. Now, I don't know what this extension would obviously look like, but obviously it's going to work against the cap, no problem, because there'll be a new deal. But at the same time, I think the Eagles are looking at this DeAndre Swift, the whole thing together and saying, this guy's 24 years old. He plays well. I mean, I think we need to try to extend him because at the end of the day, like, how much is this extension going to be? I mean, I think Rashad Penny's going to be playing for himself and he's going to sign a contract elsewhere because obviously he's a lot more injury prone than DeAndre Swift is. But I think Swift and the Eagles could work on middle ground to get a deal done to where they're not paying Swift that much money. Or maybe there are times where they could pay him some money, but obviously the cap hit won't be too crazy. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens with the DeAndre Swift stuff, but I'm excited to see an Eagles green. I'm excited for that he's home. I knew the Eagles need to add another running back, whether it was the draft or whether it was a trade for somebody. We're talking about Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook. We were talking about all these running backs, and some were unrealistic, but this one was probably the most realistic. We heard at the beginning of free agency that there was rumors that DeAndre Swift was going to get traded, and they want to move on. And then that didn't happen. You know what I mean? So not only are you getting a guy that can cut on the dime with elite vision in the passing game, screens, I mean, you name it. I mean, DeAndre Swift he changes momentum so quick. Getting him into that second level, running him between the tackles and what he could do in open space, it's just, it's really dangerous. And I feel like this could be a guy they could have a lot of interest in extending. And look, I would love it. And look, if they're extending DeAndre Swift, I don't think it's going to be that much money, to be honest. I really don't. Obviously, Swift would like probably a nice hefty deal because, running out on his rookie contract and now is like, I'm on a second contract now and like, I kind of want to get paid a little bit. So I think the Eagles will try to make this work on both sides where he'll get some of his money. The Eagles will keep those cap hits very low. So I have no issue with getting this done. I think it will get done. We'll see. We'll see. This from Jay Fowler from ESPN. So I feel like it's very realistic. I think it's very 100% legit that they have interest in. I'm not even lying about it. Trust me, if I wasn't sure, I wouldn't really even talk about it at this point. But I think the extension is very realistic as of right now, and pretty excited about it. And you get a running back for 3-4 years if you want, so that's awesome. A 2-year extension, 3 years, make it to 3 years if you want. I mean, he's young, take advantage of it, and lock him up so you don't have to worry about it. Because really, Rashad Penny's gone, Boston Scott's gone next year in 24, and then you're down to Gainwell with barely having years on his contract. They're going to want it to extend DeAndre Swift over Kenneth Gainwell. Let's be realistic here, okay? And not saying that Kenneth Gainwell is bad, but as a pure three-down back at DeAndre Swift, he's a pure three-down back that could do so much for your offense, okay? And I'm not saying Gainwell is bad at all because people like to twist my words around, but I think the Eagles like Gainwell. I just don't think they see him as the first guy. DeAndre Swift will be your starting running back this year, 100%. So a lot goes into that. So that's the news on the DeAndre Swift stuff. Very excited. It seems like it's heating up a little bit. So wondering if that happens before the season starts, middle of the season, end of the season. I don't know. They want to kind of take advantage of it and not wait too long because if he plays really well, his agent's going to drag out more money from the Eagles if they want. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens down the road. Secondly, we saw the news of Sachere was released the other day at safety. Now, this probably won't mean too much because I think anything can happen between now and to the trade deadline of week 9 of the season, which Howie Roseman says the offseason is not, the offseason of making moves is not over until week 9 of the trade deadline, which is true because you could still make trades. But Shazier has been an okay player at safety. Obviously not enough playing time, has been a special teamer, but safety is just so loaded right now to a point where I think they'll add more. I think they'll add another safety, whether it's between whatever the case may be. It's tryouts because, we have to kind of open our eyes a little bit and be realistic about it. Even if Sachere gets released, the Eagles have had, the minicamp tryouts. They could be signing a guy from tryouts that they really liked. So, and it looks like, they could be interested in a safety or a cornerback most likely. And you know what? Add more cornerbacks, add more safeties. I do not care. I want to see more. I want those positions as loaded as possible, more competition as possible, because I feel like we lacked a lot on corner, because I felt like when we got hurt, we were done at corner. Then we had to move Chauncey. Then we had to, you know what I mean? We don't have to do all those things anymore. So adding, obviously you have your starting cornerbacks. Now adding, Greedy Williams, as a depth piece to kind of revive his career, and having Josh Jobe and Mario Goodrich and some of these other guys is great. You know what I mean? And drafting Keely Ringo, Zach McPherson, all these guys. And I feel like they've had some really good depth pieces here. They drafted one, they signed one that's had an up and down season. And I think cornerback depth is really good. So adding another body isn't really going to make a big. It's not going to make it. I'm not saying it's not going to make a big difference, but the more the merrier. Like, I'll add to either or position. Safety is just loaded as well, with Terrell Edmonds, Reed Blankenship. I mean, Justin Evans. That's a veteran that they signed that's hurt every single year, but is going to give it a shot. Kavon Wallace. I'd honestly add another safety over a corner right now. I mean, regardless, if you could do both, just do it. But I'd rather add much more of a safety over a cornerback right now. Just I feel like we have lesser amount of guys there, because I think Kavon Wallace is actually, he might not even make the team this year. I think there's actually a good chance where if they add another safety, you never know what could happen here. So I'm not saying it could be for a tryout, but it could be, who knows? Maybe they have a little bit of room here for a Budda Baker trade. I have no idea. As realistically as I think this could be, and I think it could, what are you going to have to give up? You're not trading for, like I said, you're not trading for an older vet. I mean, you're trading for a guy that's close to being off his rookie contract. Obviously, with Budda Baker, with a low cap number for the year, you got to start thinking, what draft picks do you want to give up for next year? Obviously, the Eagles will have 2/3, 2/4, maybe a fifth. So they're going to have 11 to 12 draft selections next year. Obviously, the Eagles were maneuvering some of those picks this past draft to make some moves and be aggressive. But would they, actually go after a Budda Baker type trade like this and really go all in? I think they've already went all in regardless on some really good signings. The number one word for the Eagles roster in general, especially at certain positions, is value. And I think what Howie Roseman has done is really got the most out of the money he has spent, out of value. And when not even just the signings in the offseason, but I'm just talking about the draft too, because I felt like the Eagles didn't have to be too aggressive and give up so much draft compensation and be too aggressive in these situations. So I feel like we're heading in the right direction here, and adding Budda Baker is just more luxury than anything. The Eagles wanted to sign Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. That's just the truth. Was Chauncey Gardner-Johnson good for what he did? Yes, 100%, with his play and everything. I don't think he was a great tackler. I think he was obviously a ball hawk. I thought he benefited from what we had in this defense, but he was still a solid player for us, no doubt. The best in the world, no. But was a solid player that was supposed to get signed. Terrell Edmonds comes in. Do the Eagles really think highly of Terrell Edmonds? That's going to be the case later on down the road, too, if they actually acquire a player like Budda Baker here. It's a, two-time Pro Bowler already? I mean, great player. So, and a young player, have at it, a young player, too. So what do you do here? You know what I mean? So how much, just like I said, how the Eagles felt about the running back room, they could feel like that. When it comes to the safety room. Terrell Edmonds was the plan B option. Reed Blankenship gave us a nice sample size last year, but we don't honestly know, what he's going to do this year. I mean, he came in, he gave us a nice sample size, and, he gave it his all, and I think Reed played really well. Not a great coverage guy, but when it comes to run support as a downhill safety that's going to pop you and lay the thump on you, then it's an A+ for me for that, no problem. But needs more competition, needs another offseason, a full offseason as a projected, not starting now, but a projected starter makes a lot more sense. Just need more competition at the positions. That's why I think wide receiver needs more competition for depth. Every position, safety, corner, I'd say really safety, corner, linebacker. I mean, you could, if you want to add a body somewhere, add a body somewhere. Now, obviously, you're not going to make a big move at corner, but they could make a big move at safety. They could make a medium to mid-tier move at linebacker with Patrick Queen, Isaiah Simmons, or something like that. There are options out there. Will it happen right now? Maybe not. Maybe the Eagles are going to wait till training camp, kind of see what they got, and maybe bring a player in after that. But the more players, the merrier. So if it's Budda Baker, great. But, the Andre Sachere thing could be, just for a tryout guy that's going to make the roster at the end of the day. But you always want to speculate and feel like when you think Howie Roseman's not going to do something, he always does something. And I feel like that always happens with this roster every year. The past 3 years have been excellent off seasons, counting this year as well, which is great. So when it comes down to it, guys, I'm not making a big deal about it, but we'll see. I think there are going to be some options for the Philadelphia Eagles. Post June is another time too. Post June trades, post June releases. There's going to be players that are going to be up for trade blocks. For teams that are changing their minds and want to create some cap space for the future and stuff. So post-June is a big one for the Philadelphia Eagles as well to get something done. And there might be a team that's desperate and need to trade somebody badly, and Howie Roseman gets into some really good negotiations for a player. So that's a whole nother thing too. So like I said, linebacker, corner, safety, those are my top three for grab as many bodies as you can or trade for a good player at safety, trade for a good player. You know what I mean? So trade for a mid-tier player at linebacker. There's plenty of it out there. So I think it's going to be interesting. I think the Eagles have two good moves left in them. Not game-changer moves, but moves that are really going to help this roster out a lot going forward. So that's the news on that, which I kind of want to discuss as well. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, which I thought I had here, and I do not. Going into this offseason program, obviously I like how the Eagles have not been able, or the past, really since Nick has been here, we haven't had the voluntary workouts or whatever those voluntary workouts they make everybody go to go on the field and do stuff. The Eagles have took that away the past couple seasons since Nick has been here, which is great because I feel like now with less preseason games, there's a lot more going on with this roster now. With less preseason games now you don't have to go crazy with training camp. You don't have to go crazy with some of the, obviously it's very important, but you don't want to get these guys hurt early and really put them down this path of restricting yourself from healing your bodies and not getting the rest that they need. So I think with these off-season programs, especially what the Eagles have been doing the past few years, it's been a factor for us. Obviously, every team gets injured. That's just part of the business. But well, at least if we don't. I mean, trust me, we've seen this team have over 15 to 20 injuries in 1 year. It's kind of insane when you really think about it. If I can remember the years, but we've dealt with some things over the past, and the Eagles are. I think once they get to training camp, they turn everything on. Once the full pads come on, that's when things start to be more realistic, and we'll get to see a lot more, which is great. So I just wanted to discuss that real quick because I thought that was pretty important because the health of us going into the season is the most important. So when a player gets hurt at camp, he's walking off the field slow, the beat writers are texting that, and putting it on Twitter, everybody's freaking out. And I know it's going to happen sooner or later. I mean, hopefully, knock on wood, football gods keep our guys healthy this offseason. So we will see going forward. And, so other than that, that's pretty much it. So we talked about, obviously, DeAndre Swift. We talk about the Andre Sachere. I can't say his last name. I'm stuttering because I can't say his last name right. The Sachere release. What could it mean? Hopefully we see something from Sean Desai soon. I mean, by training camp. I mean, I know within the next few weeks, hopefully something will transpire here. We need to hear from our own defensive coordinator. I'm actually really excited Oh, the last thing I had to talk about, which I totally forgot. Oh my God, I left this out, and I don't know how I left it out. But it looks like Donna Kelsey, Jason Kelsey's mom, did put out a tweet today that I'm trying to actually put up. So she put out a tweet talking about the Eagles' schedule, the Eagles and Chiefs. Now, obviously, the Eagles and Chiefs probably should be playing the Thursday night game as of right now. I don't know if it's happening or not or what's going on. But usually when two teams play in the Super Bowl, that's what usually happens. So those two teams that were in the Super Bowl will play on Thursday night, most likely. And for some reason, it might not happen now. They're actually, from what Donna Kelsey is talking about as of right now, it looks like this thing is getting moved to, I don't know, I think the second week from what she said. I think, yes, it is the second week. So I had to put this up. I'm sorry, I know it's weird in the video, but I totally forgot to put it up. So she said it was a Facebook comment. So Chiefs Eagles week 2 in Arrowhead. So that's a little bit of a change. I mean, look, I don't care. I mean, trust me, if there's one team I want to face week 1, it's the 49ers. So that 100% the 49ers, I want it. I think the Eagles are going to be home too. I think. I don't even care, to be honest with you, but that is the news on somewhat. We're gonna get so much schedule updates this week. It's just going to get crazy as of right now. I heard there's going to be a Black Friday game, a Christmas Eve, and Christmas game. I mean, I'm praying to God we don't have my personal, because I hate watching games on holidays. I can't stand it. Thanksgiving, not too bad. I don't mind it, but I can live without it. But Christmas Eve and Christmas, I cannot stand that. So I'm excited to see what the schedule is going to look like. I don't know what it's going to look like, but Donna Kelsey, week 2, Eagles, Chiefs, and Arrowhead, and I hope we get the 49ers week 1. That's. I'm sorry. I don't care about divisional round, nothing. I want to face the 49ers because I just want a piece again. I just want to do it again going to this year. So. All right, you guys have a fantastic day. Make sure if you guys last this long in this video, I know it's been a crazy video today. If you guys last this long, definitely subscribe to the channel, like the video if you guys haven't either. Cover the Eagles every single day, and some huge updates coming for you guys every single day as well. So you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you guys on the next one. SHAKESQUAD up, follow side. Peace out, guys. Peace.